Millions of years ago, the earliest form of ape roamed our planet. However, very little is known about this species. Today, paleontologists have been traveling around the world digging for more clues about our earliest ancestor. On Africa's largest lake lies an island called Rusinga, on which the body of the first proconsul was found. Ever since, paleontologists have frequently returned to the island, searching for fossils that could reveal more about the proconsul.
Proconsul is really interesting, frankly, because there are a lot of fossils of proconsul. And so you can actually learn a lot more about proconsul than about other early apes or early monkeys or some early humans even. And it's also really interesting because we have all these fossils of this early, what looks like an early ape, at the very base of the ape family tree.
People have been studying proconsul since the 1920s. It's been known about since then. In fact, the name proconsul probably doesn't mean much to people today, but back in the day, consul was a name that was used for performing chimps. It was rather like Dumbo for elephants or that sort of thing, or Bonzo for dogs. It was a very standard name for performing chimpanzees. And so proconsul means before consul. So
proconsul is a Miocene apey critter. It's people debate about whether or not it's on a lineage leading to what we now consider apes or apes of modern character, or if it's part of a group that was not did not proliferate into the present. It died off and went extinct. But it's a moderately sized ape found on eastern Africa. Rusinga is especially noted for a lot of proconsul fossils, which is why we were there.
So the goal of the project is to try and reconstruct the environment that proconsul lived in.
We have these two proconsul species, these sort of basal apes. Here on Rusinga, we have a lot of them, and so we know a lot about what they look like, and now we're beginning to piece together what the environment in which they lived in was. And so Rusinga will allow us to say a lot about the environments that these apes referred, and what it looked like when they were evolving, what things, caused their evolution to happen through time.
So watching proconsul on safari wouldn't be much different from going to watch a group of baboons on safari. You'd be watching your primates your proconsuls being very social, probably grooming one another. Males would be bigger than females, maybe much bigger than females. They'd all be sitting in the same tree, and if one moved, then eventually they'd all move to the next tree, feeding together, spending most of the day feeding or napping or grooming one another, or pissing each other off and having a rock star tirade through the trees and shrieking. Chimpanzees, for example, grow up slowlier than monkeys do. They grow up faster. And humans grow up really slowly. We have an extended lifespan. But still, apes that are closest relatives grow up relatively slowly. That's a slow life history. And with this growth series, with this collection of proconsuls where there are infants and there are, teenagers and there are adults, could I see if they grew up slowly or quickly? So did they grow up more like apes or more like monkeys?
Monkeys and apes are differentiated by several important characteristics. For example, monkeys have tails while apes do not, as well as the fact that apes have much larger lifespans than monkeys.
The slowing down of life history probably has something to do with the expansion of the brain. And there is some evidence to suggest, based on the skull that Mary Leakey found, that proconsul had a slightly bigger brain than most monkeys. So it was already a little bit more what we call encephalized, that like apes are.
Proconsul has enough features to just make it an ape. I think the loss of the tail is critical. And I think there are some dental features that just about do it. There are definitely researchers who'll disagree with me on that. And there are other aspects of its skeletal structure that are very monkey-like. You look at much of its skeleton, it's pretty monkey-like in a lot of ways. It's much more monkey-like than ape-like, but it does have these specialized features that it shares with other apes that other monkeys do not have, and I think that's critical.
The proconsul remains a mystery that continues to intrigue scientists across the world. Due to the recent expeditions to Rusinga, scientists are starting to put together the pieces of the puzzle. Hopefully we will have a complete understanding of this prehistoric ape that may have evolved into modern-day humans.